Welcome back, everybody. It is 8:13. This is new on the Health Watch this morning. The feds are pushing peptides. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is behind it. Peptides are short chains of amino acids. A federal advisory panel voted to recommend allowing 6 of them to be compounded and sold by specialty pharmacies, despite not being FDA-approved drugs. That really is kind of interesting, right? So that's why we brought in Dr. Matthew Knight. He is the president of Knight Dermatology Institute. He's also a member of the Florida Board of Medicine. Good morning, friend. Always good to see you. Thanks for being with us this morning. So let's start off with the basics, right? What exactly are peptides?
Yeah, well, peptides are not new. You know, insulin's a peptide. All these GLP-1s are peptides. Like you said, they're just amino acids that are glued together. And so you hear this term peptide all over social media, and they use it as this catch-all. What a lot of them are talking about are things like insulin or GLP-1s, which of course are very popular, but there's this other class of drugs. There are thousands and thousands of them that are marketed all over the internet as peptides that do all sorts of things in our bodies, right? Peptides latch on to little signaling molecules in our body and do different things, like our pituitary gland to release growth hormone. So it's really the Wild West. There's like all these products.
So let's break it down there. Are there good peptides and bad peptides? And let's go to the good ones once we get through what the bad ones are.
That's what the FDA was talking about. They picked a basket of 6 peptides. The problem is, and they all have big long names like TB500. The problem with these things is that whenever you bring a drug to market, you want to study thousands and thousands of people and look for signals. So you want to look at thousands of people and say, okay, what percentage got a side effect? What was the right dose? And that's how drugs are brought to market. The problem with a lot of these peptides, the one you'll see on TikTok, are that they don't have these big studies. There may be animal data, but there's not a lot of human trials. And so the risk is with a lot of these drugs that you see promoted is that you inject them, you buy them from a pharmacy that's selling you like research grade peptides, and then you're basically experimenting on yourself. You don't know what the side effects could be, you don't know what the right dose is, and that's what I worry about, and that's what a lot of people worry about.
So Dr. Knight, what should we be buying? What should we be looking for?
You know, I think it's interesting. I mean, RFK is correct. I think that people buying things on the dark web or research grade products are very bad. So I think it's an interesting era of development, and I think we're going to see some really cool drugs come out of this class. But we're also in an era now where consumers can do their own research and look and see what they should be putting in their bodies. An animal study with 3 mice or a study with like 1 or 2 people or some testimonial on the internet is not enough to go injecting something in your body.
All right, so how could peptides then be beneficial to you?
All kinds of different ways. Our bodies are amazing in these feedback loops in the way that they signal your brain and your end organs to do different things, right? To produce growth hormone.
Right. So let's say I want to take peptides, right? What would you say to me in terms of, okay, these are peptides that could work for you as opposed to these peptides may not be so great for you? And I think that's kind of the gray area that a lot of people don't understand.
100%. If you look on the internet, a lot of these like comments are paid for, or they're bots or things hyping different peptides, and you're going to be really cautious with that. You know, again, I would probably start with the 6 that was mentioned by the FDA this week, that advisory panel. We're still waiting for them to give full FDA approval. We don't have that yet. But what they're saying is we'd rather pharmacists be able to compound that for people instead of you buying research grade peptides off the dark web, which we really don't want people doing. Quick story, there was a doctor in South Florida who bought research grade Botox and had a Botox party at his house, and everybody ended up in a hospital on a ventilator.
Stop it.
Right. So when you buy research grade stuff that's not from your local pharmacist, you don't know the right dose, and it can be laden with all kinds of stuff. Very dangerous. And so I think what the FDA is saying, like, this stuff is out there, even though we don't have really great data, it's better that we let pharmacists compound this than people buying it off the internet.
And we have to wrap, but your pharmacist compounds your peptides. You get the peptides, you self-inject?
Yeah, usually you self-inject. And that's the final point here, is that it's really important that people partner with their healthcare provider on this stuff. This stuff is hyper individualized. And just because some fitness influencer on the internet says, well, you know, you're a dope if you're not taking this because it's changed my life and look how jacked I am and all this stuff, you have to be very, very careful, because that's one person's story. And that may not apply to you and me.
And I'm smiling because you may be jacked, but what's going on the inside?
That's totally right. Oh, but there'll be 1,000 comments of how awesome this guy looks, right?
Exactly.
They're probably all paid for. So buyer beware, very interesting technology, but a lot yet to come.
All right. Good information, friend. Have a great weekend. Always good to talk to you, Dr. Matthew Knight. The time right now is 8:18. Let's check in with Brooks Garner. Hey, Brooks.
Hey, sounds like the tide is turning. Sorry about those posts on the internet about how